the man is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's got it. Goes Davis. Oh my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone. It's a touchdown. And the Gators have won the game. To the 40. Over Whitfield 30. To the 20. 15, 10. 5. Touchdown FSU.
Hey, what's up? What's up? Davy Dave, I guess you changed your name.
I'll go back to Davy Dave. Davy Dave was an old high school name.
Davy Dave's not bad, dude. I like Davy Dave.
It's not terrible.
I just did Diggity because the Riggity, you know?
Hell yeah. Diggity and Riggity.
Yeah, and then you got Jiggity Just. We actually need to come up with good names. That's for another day. But welcome to College Football Extravaganza. Sorry for the late start. If you're watching live, hop in the chat. You know, it is what it is. Sometimes we have technical difficulties too. It is what it is. Especially after such an exciting week of college football. Let's get right into it, shall we? All right. So, week 10. I'm gonna actually little insight here. I was invited to go to an open mic in New Orleans by a comic who does a mic here. Is my good friend Lamar. So I'm going to be in New Orleans this weekend doing an open mic on Sunday. Might hit the Tulane game on Saturday. So me and one of my libertarian friends, I might convince him to do a little podcast from New Orleans. We might try and do some live stuff there. If not, then I'm going to be having a good time at the Tulane UCF game, which is going to decide the American Conference pretty much. So I'm happy about that, at least that side of the American Conference. So that would be a cool game to go to. I think they're both 7-1, so it should be a fun game. All right.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. Now we can get into it. Friday night, Washington takes down Oregon 24-21. Not much to say about that. I don't have much to say about that. Washington ranked this week again. Michael Penix Jr. throws for about 300 yards, 298 yards. He's doing good. He's a great quarterback.
He is.
That was exciting.
I think he's another year of eligibility too. So I'm curious to see what he'll do next year. He is on like the big board in a way, but he's not like a first round draft pick. So I hope he sticks around for one more year.
I hope he does too. I hope a lot of quarterbacks do. I hope a lot of quarterbacks do. And I'm just going to get into it because I'm excited about this win. The Gators, we can talk about all the other games later, but I just want to, because this is me and you on here, so I got to watch the Texas A&M game, most of it at least, and Anthony Richardson went off. It looked like he was more willing to use his legs. Maybe he's healed up or something, but I don't know. He took off on Texas A&M. Texas A&M not in a good place. They were scoring a lot in the first half, and then after Florida came back in the second half, they couldn't score at all. So props up on the defensive side of the ball for Florida.
Yeah, they had a real quiet second half. And also keep in mind that Texas A&M had to start Haynes King, which was their starter to start the year, but he's been struggling. But they've been dealing with the flu. So there were two quarterbacks, one of them being Max Johnson, that was out for this game. And so they had to go back to Haynes King. He looked okay in the first half, but Florida certainly kept it with them. They went back and forth, basically. That was the story of the first half. They went back and forth. Offensively, the Gators look sound. Defensively, that's still a question mark. But in the second half, definitely a better game for the Gators. So good. It was a good win on their part for sure. And I think they have senior week this week.
Yeah. Anytime you go into College Station and get a win, I think that's a good win, honestly. And, the quarterback situation for Texas A&M all year long hasn't been solid. So, give us that, give them that. But also, I'm excited. We're one game away from being bowl eligible. And you know what? That's not a given. That's not a given any season, especially this season under a new head coach. Florida did have a couple players transferring. Brenton Cox entered the transfer portal, and
actually, he really got kicked off the team.
Right. But in the most respectful way, they decided to part ways. It looked like the same way he did against Georgia, and this was after the Georgia game, but we didn't cover it last week. So Brenton Cox gone from the team. That's big for the D line, but Florida's got some boys on the D line. They do. Yeah. They got some thickens, some biggins, dude. So a big loss, but at the same time, Brenton Cox kind of did his own thing a lot of the time. If you look at the tape, even with quarterbacks who you got to keep contained, I think a lot of times he would rush in there and not keep contained, and maybe that was more of what it was just the individual play. I don't know. No one knows for sure, but amicably parted ways.
Yeah, and I think he declared for the draft on that.
Declared for the draft? Okay.
I think he was a senior.
Right. That's what I was thinking. I was like, it's weird he's entering a transfer portal. Okay, so that makes sense. So declared for the draft. Either way, no longer on the team. Unfortunate. You like to see him finish the season. But
yeah. He was a leader on the team. He wore that number 1 jersey.
Right.
I mean, only leaders wear that number 1 jersey on Florida, so it is what it is.
And he's a playmaker too, so I hate to see him go, but it is what it is. All right. I skipped a game. I skipped a few games, but I skipped a game going to that Oregon State game and Washington game right off the bat. Appalachian State falls to Coastal Carolina 35-28. Hey, I mean, it is what it is. Appalachian State was one of those teams we were talking about right out of the gate this season, and still throughout the season we're talking about it pretty good because they put up a lot of points. Here at Coastal Carolina, able to hold them on that blue turf, on that teal turf. So,
yeah,
I didn't watch this game, but just interesting score to throw out there.
I didn't watch it either, but I mean, App State, I think that was their 4th loss or 5th loss of the year, which is weird because they've been playing good football, but they've been struggling a little bit. But Coastal's been consistent, so good win for Coastal.
Yeah, and some of those get like the North Carolina game early on, very close, like highest scoring game out the gate that we saw until like last week. Whenever what was that score? That was like 60, 70 something to like 72-66 or something. Absolutely, it was like set the record for the highest FBS scoring game.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. But North Carolina wasn't involved in that. Neither was
No. I'm talking that game was from the Appalachian State North Carolina game, or like the first week in the season when it was like 62-58 or something.
I'll have to do some research on it. I know what you're talking about though.
We ain't doing no kind of research, Davis. Once these cameras are off, we are fucking off. That's what this podcast is. Joey had to go to dinner with his mom because if he doesn't, he gets ixnayed out of the will because Mary is the better child, and then Justin could be dead for all we know. So that's where this podcast is going.
We really don't know where he is.
We don't know.
Each time, and haven't heard from him since.
No, that's fine. So if the fans of this podcast care, just put him on a milk carton or something. That'd be funny. Anyway, so let's dive right into it, buddy. The number 1 game of the week, everyone knew. Number 1 versus number 2. Well, I guess it was number 3 then. But Tennessee and Georgia, 27-13 in Athens. And you know what? That score doesn't indicate how dominant Georgia was in this ballgame. They were absolutely dominant.
And you know what? Robert, you said that I don't before the show. You said I don't owe a shot. I think I do though, because I thought Tennessee was going to cover this game. I thought not only were they going to cover because they were +8, but they were going to win the game. I had them winning the ball game, and they lost from the get-go. They just couldn't put it together against Georgia. Georgia is clearly a tougher place to play than we thought. A lot of people were giving Tennessee a lot of credit, including me. So I have a little bit left in this. I'm going to go ahead and finish it off because I put it all on Tennessee, and I lost. So
yeah, I mean, you can take the shot if you want. You also had Notre Dame and LSU. So you were 2 for 3. You were 2 for 3 there.
And we'll get to those picks, but I felt extremely good about those picks.
Yeah.
I also felt great about Tennessee. Unfortunately, that one missed.
Yeah. Turns out you should have felt really good about those picks. Pat, I'm glad you're in the chat. If you rewind it a little bit, I don't know if you joined live, but if you rewind it a little bit, I mentioned you and maybe try and get something done there, but we'll see what happens with that. So yeah, Tennessee, Georgia here. I think in the second half, the weather might have played into it a little bit. It started raining, dude. It started coming down real hard. And, Tennessee is a pass-heavy team, big play team, and there's not a lot going whenever it's raining that hard. Also, Georgia's defense went, I think, 4 down linemen, 4 linebackers. And sometimes they would drop those 4 linebackers into coverage, and then Georgia's defensive line would get in there, and then they'd maybe bring one or two on the sides and drop like a lineman, and it was confusing Tennessee's offense. And basically, they were getting to the quarterback before any big play development had a potential. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no wide receivers open down the field. They were getting to Hendon Hooker, putting pressure on him all game. And credit to Georgia defense.
And I mean, even on the offensive side of the ball, like they look good. Did you see Stetson Bennett after he scored one of his touchdowns? He threw up the phone.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was about. Tell him what it was about.
And Tennessee fans are blowing up his phone all throughout the night. He scores a touchdown, throws up the call me. Let's go.
That reminds me of 2007 when Tim Tebow and the Gators went in the Death Valley in LSU. All the LSU fans leaked Tim Tebow's phone number, which, is funny because I bet a lot of Louisiana people need circumcision. So they were probably calling him like, hey, I heard you do this for the Filipino kids. Can you help me out? I don't know what they were saying to him, but he scored a touchdown in the game and he threw up the call me. Florida ended up not winning that game, but Georgia won this one. So
I would say Tim Tebow was low-key a shit talker in college.
Oh, was he? I bet he was with the rest of the team around him.
Dude, like in like a nice way, like in the most Tim Tebow way, he's a shit talker.
Yeah, well, remember the Oklahoma national championship game when he got that penalty? It was like it was his last game ever. So
yeah, he was just like,
well, it's not his last game because he played the next year, but he gave him the chop. Potentially, it was his last game.
You got to get in their head a little bit. You got to do something.
It had a potential to be his last game because it wasn't sure that he was coming back the next year. It wasn't sure.
Very late on that announcement where he's like, "I'm coming back."
Yeah, it was like the trophy ceremony. Anyway, we'll move on. So, final thoughts, Tennessee, Georgia, right here.
I mean, my final thoughts are Georgia. They're tough at home. That's without a doubt. Georgia clearly they have the East in their hands, but Tennessee is not out. They have to win out if they want a chance. But I think as long as they win out, even if they don't make it to the SEC championship, they have a shot at going to the Final Four.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, speaking of, here, we'll just throw up the standings real quick because the College Football Playoff Committee got together and they released their stuff. Why is it like this? Hang on. I don't know why it's like that. Okay, well, anyway, I'll just go off of memory. Number 1, Georgia, obviously. 2 was Ohio State. 3 is Michigan, and 4 is TCU. They put TCU at number 4, which they're undefeated. So you got to give some respect to them. 5, Tennessee. 6 was someone than LSU. It'd be 6. Oregon. It was Oregon. Oregon at number 6 spot. And I like that. I like that a lot. I think these rankings are good because Ohio State and Michigan are going to play. So Tennessee at that 5 spot, not having to go to the SEC championship, poised if they got a couple things that happen.
Either Ohio State or Michigan will have to lose. They're going to play each other.
Right.
They have to lose at some point. So Tennessee needs to win out. They're in the top 4.
Yeah, they're in.
It's not hard moving forward.
And you know what? In a neutral, I'll take Tennessee in like Atlanta, like in a neutral site where the weather's not going to affect them, and they've played Georgia once, so they know that maybe they got to change things up a little bit. Maybe they got to get the ball out a little quicker. They know exactly what they're not good at, because it would be 1 against 4 unless if the committee puts them in there somehow. So barring something happening.
I do want to also throw out that, and I know we have to move on, but there was an analyst, I forget who said it, but they said as long as Tennessee beats Alabama, they and assuming that they lose to Georgia and win out, they're in. They just had to beat Alabama. And they did that. They did lose to Georgia. They went out from here. I think they're in, without a doubt.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see. So, speaking of the number 2 team, they didn't look that good against Northwestern today. They only had, not today, but last week they had a 14-point victory here, 21-7 at Northwestern. Just like Brandon Walker says over an unnecessary roughness, that grass is slow. It is slow. It's a slow start for Ohio State. Grass looks slow, makes everyone else slow. I didn't watch this game. I thought Ohio State was going to blow them out. The spread was 37.5. I lost.
But you know what? You know what got in the way? The wind. It was apparently upwards to 40-mile-an-hour winds. Look at C.J. Stroud's numbers. Terrible. He had terrible numbers. He couldn't throw the ball. He literally couldn't throw the ball because the wind was that terrible.
Windy City, Chicago.
Yeah, just out. It's in Evanston, just right. It's a suburb of Chicago. Still the same wind. And they showed the kicker kicking the ball into 40-mile-an-hour winds, and they called it the invisible wall because it looked like the ball just hit a wall.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, I mean,
that was what they were dealing with.
That makes sense. Ohio State having to be uncharacteristic and run the ball and do that, because passing the ball in 50-mile-an-hour winds probably not going to happen. But regardless, they still won the game, and I'm not going to count this one against them with that kind of weather going on. With that kind of game, that's like a snow bowl or something, dude. You know, you got to adjust your game plan to the outside elements. So nothing big there. Here's something huge. Notre Dame, and you called it, Davis. Good job. We were shitting on you last week for it. I'm sorry. I owe you a shot or something. Notre Dame beats Clemson 35-14. I'm speechless here. I thought Clemson was going to come out and.
Here's what was going through my mind when I made that pick. Was that Notre Dame, yes, they got off to a really tough start. I mean, it was a decent start because they competed against Ohio State. Bad loss, terrible loss against Marshall that Justin wouldn't live down until his team lost eventually shortly after that. They followed that up with another loss. Now your head coach is on the chopping block almost immediately. But then they had some good turnaround wins. I mean, I think they beat Stanford. They beat BYU, which BYU is a pretty decent team. Going back home, they had momentum. And Clemson has been struggling. They have been struggling. And I'm like, you're going into Notre Dame. You're struggling. DJ Uiagalelei has lost at Notre Dame before. And I just kind of put those factors together, and I thought Notre Dame is the better team going into this week. And there it was. I mean, and they played terrible. They rotated quarterbacks. Cole Kublik, he didn't look.
Kate Klubnik, yeah.
Yeah, Kate Kublik. They put DJ back in. Yeah, I mean, that was nothing better. They handled the game. Yeah,
they bring Kate Klubnik in, and he throws an interception there in the third quarter. So they gave DJ some time, and they brought Klubnik in third quarter, interception, and Notre Dame defense just put it on him. No wide receivers open all game, and Clemson dropped 6 spots to number 10. I like it. I think Clemson had a big question mark above their head before last week, and after last week, you know, Notre Dame did it to them. And that place went crazy. I know it was probably a great game to be at, and there with the pick 6 at the end just to seal the deal makes it even more sweet. So congratulations, Notre Dame, turning the season around. And you even have an opportunity to spoil USC's season there at the end, even though they already lost, probably not going to make it to the playoffs. They got to play Oregon. If they beat Oregon, then it's a big game there at the end of the season in the last week of November.
A lot of moving parts left. USC could still make it in, of course, but Tennessee needs to continue to win out. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, this is making for an exciting bowl season, though. I'll say that. The bowl games this year, so many good teams that don't normally get to play each other that you're going to see that are good right now. They get to play each other. There's some bowl seasons where I'm like, these teams suck. And, you know, one team's way better than the other. And they're playing. I don't know. I'm excited for the postseason already. And I'm excited for the end of this season, but still a lot of football left to be played. All right. Moving on. Michigan takes care of Rutgers. Do I have I need to put the who cares thing back in here. Who cares? 52-17 did what they should do. Michigan looked real good. Michigan looked better than Ohio State.
Yeah, I know
the weather. I know the weather.
Quarterback better than Cade McNamara.
Mm-hmm. Right. All right. Another big one. Alabama LSU. They went into overtime. Brian Kelly walked into Death Valley. Just regular Brian Kelly, and he walked out with the biggest nutsack in the state of Louisiana.
He had Randy Marsh nuts with cancer, trying to get medicinal marijuana with a wheelbarrow. Like,
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
That's what he was saying. except for he was happy. He was happy about it. Look, that's the play, and he said it great in the post-game press conference. He said, "If you told me I had one play, and if we executed it perfect, we're gonna beat Alabama, then I'd take that chance." What is interesting about this play is it is very similar to the play that Jimbo Fisher ran against Alabama when they lost, and everyone gave Jimbo Fisher tons of shit about it. It's almost the same exact little pick play where they make the guy run over top, the guy who's on the guy going to the flats. He had two wide receivers go straight up, so the guy covering him, I think, was a linebacker. He had to go around, and that creates that little space for that little toss out in the flats to the corner. Just executed it perfect. Jaden Daniels, good job. Jaden Daniels has some wheels. He got loose a couple times on Alabama.
Yep.
LSU. All right. I didn't want to have to start doing this, but I'm going to have to. Every FSU fan I've talked to this week, FSU better than Alabama now. FSU's better than Alabama. Shut up.
Dude,
LSU's not the same team you played in week 1.
Long season, anything can change, and LSU is an example of that. So is Notre Dame.
And you know what? I hope FSU wins out, and then I hope LSU wins out. Besides Ole Miss,
they can join the West now.
Yeah. So
well, then Ole Miss also is still.
Yeah, that's the question. So
have they played each other yet?
Yeah, and they beat Ole Miss.
LSU won
45-20.
LSU won that game, right?
Yeah, so they got the head-to-head victory there. Okay. So LSU is in control of the West right now. They got to play Arkansas, and they got to play Texas A&M at the end of the season. Always an exciting game against Texas A&M. Yeah. But,
Arkansas is looking terrible right now.
Yeah, they are. So I'm betting against them this week. But, or at least in my pick 'em, I'm betting against them. But with that being said, FSU fans, y'all got to shut up. I hate you. This is why I don't like FSU being good. I'll root for you till you play Florida, but because I like the state of Florida being good. But you think you're the hottest shit after beating Miami?
Yeah,
calm your tits, dude. Calm your fucking tits. And here's my thing. I already said it. LSU is not the same team they were in week 1, and that was their first game. You guys played the Duquesne Dukes or whoever the fuck they were the first week. You had a warm up and a tune up game. And you know what? LSU had, 2 muffed punts that you got advantage of, and you still almost lost that game. So, look.
Yeah, you blocked that extra point.
Yeah. Congratulations. You know what? Can't say anything. Florida didn't beat LSU, so what?
Florida looked bad defensively, especially. Yeah. Defensively bad.
Yeah. So, but Florida's coming into their own, too. Yeah, I'm not worried about Florida this year.
We'll see. I will quickly also mention, you mentioned like comparative plays. That play that LSU ran to win the game was very similar to how Clemson beat Alabama in the national championship in 2017. Very similar plays. Deshaun Watson going to the right, throws it to Hunter Renfrow in the corner of the end zone for the win. Mm-hmm. Almost similar plays.
Yeah, that's like their kryptonite, right? That little pick play to the right side. Somehow Alabama gets beat with that every time. And, I've talked to some Alabama fans, and they're like, you know what? It's boring to win all the time. They've gotten to that point as a football program where they're like, we win too much. I'm like,
I'm gonna take a quick timeout only because I'm dry, and I know we're going to continue the conversation, so I'm going to top this off just a little bit, and then we're going to keep it rolling because we have a whole week to get into.
Yeah, you go right ahead. I'll blast through these real quick. Pat, I'm with you too. I don't really like Brian Kelly that much. He's very cringy, but you know what? That was a great play call, and you got to be able to give people credit who you don't like, who are actually good at things. So he's good at coaching football. That's what the LSU fan base wanted, and that's what they're getting here. Might not get the most cool guy. I wouldn't say he's a cool guy, but you know what? The team's buying in. LSU's buying into him, and it's kind of showing. At least the players that are sticking around. TCU here, again, slow start. They were behind. TCU, as soon as they get behind, they tell the other team, we got you right where we want you. They end up winning 34-24. Max Duggan throws for 195 yards, and it's a solid win. They're undefeated now at the number 4 spot in the college football playoffs. So they went out. If TCU wins out, they're not going to get snubbed in my mind because you have all these one-loss teams. They're in. Same with Oregon, and Davis, you can tag in whenever I get done with this one because I want you to talk about TCU and Oregon since they are right there in the top 6. Oregon absolutely destroys Colorado. Oregon, another team who is not the same team as they were when they played Georgia in week 1.
Yeah.
So
I
think they're the best team in the Pac-12, hands down. And we'll see. They still have to play Utah. They still have to play USC. So once they beat those two teams, Oregon might get a little boost. A little boost up. They could even pass Tennessee.
Oregon, Bo Nix, by the way, they're like whispering Heisman talks, just whispering. He might be in the group, but he won't win. But what a turnaround for Oregon after getting blown out by Georgia. Me being one of the biggest critics, like all on them, like Georgia, better team. Oregon doesn't belong. Like, look at Bo Nix getting just completely wiped out. I mean, he's played awesome since that first loss. So a whole lot of credit to him. I'm being a complete optimist with him right now. I think Oregon has a shot at winning the Pac-10 right now. But with that being said, going back to TCU, Max Duggan, hitting him with the Dougie. Like, awesome guy. Awesome job that he's done with TCU. And Sonny Dykes. I've been a big fan of Sonny Dykes for a few years. He has done a lot of good things. I think he started at Hawaii. Then he went over to SMU, did really good things there as well. And now he moved down the road to TCU. And he's done immediately, first year with the program. He has them a top 14 at the moment. And I don't see a whole lot of teams slowing them down. But at the same time, it is the Big 12 where literally any team could lose to anybody in the Pac-12. So, Big 12, I should say. So I want to see them win. I appreciate them winning. It's cool to see. I really like Max Duggan and Sonny Dykes. I want them to keep the momentum going. They'll probably get blown out in whoever they play in the Final Four if they make it. But I like to see their success.
And I like to see different teams in the playoffs too every now and then. But moving forward, USC, the next game, number 9, USC, 41, Cal 35. And here's my thing. This is why Oregon's gonna beat USC later this season. It's the Lincoln Riley team. It's the great offense, not good defense, and Oregon's got a great offense. But good job, USC. You got another win under your belt. But Jack Plummer, who I haven't really heard of, I'll be honest. California.
No relation to Jake Plummer, by the way. I looked it up.
He's not?
Not related.
Not related? Okay. So not related, and he throws for 406 yards. That's a lot. USC, if you're going to play a Tennessee, if you're going to play a Georgia or even Alabama, anyone, you're going to have to clean that up at the very least to me. Maybe not Alabama because they don't have that big threat receiver this year, but that's bad defense. That's like Florida's defense right now. Sorry, it is. First half Florida defense, not second half. UCLA gets the win over Arizona State 50-36, and UCLA could still play a little spoiler too against USC. So let me look at USC's schedule because they play. We mentioned them playing Notre Dame, and they play UCLA. So they play UCLA then Notre Dame back to back. That's tough there for USC there at the end. We'll find out what they're actually made of. All right. Any other games you want to talk about? I think I'm going to cut it off at the top 10. Texas Kansas State. I want to talk about that one for a second. Adrian Martinez started this game after the backup quarterback went in and put 48 and shut out Oklahoma State, and Martinez loses this game. So, is there a quarterback controversy going on there in Kansas State? I don't know. You tell me. I
remember when Adrian Martinez was a sophomore at Nebraska, and he was selected as like a pre-Heisman hopeful, and then that team just was a Nebraska team that has been Nebraska for the last 20 years. Not great. So.
Yeah. Will Howard was the quarterback last week. I want to get his name out there because he tossed the rock. Utah gets the win over Arizona 45-20. I don't really want to go over anything else. UCF and Tulane both get wins, setting up for a good matchup this weekend. Pat, me and you are going to be there, and I'll give you my pick on that as we go into the next week. We already talked about Florida. Our FSU guys not here. FSU absolutely destroyed Miami in the worst way, and made their fans leave even earlier than they normally do. Miami's fans are like,
dude,
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I looked up. You know where their stadium is compared to where their campus is? It is far. It's like a 45-minute drive.
Yeah, that takes away from the atmosphere. Even like with UWF moving the game from downtown Pensacola to on campus, I actually like the move now. I didn't like the move before because I'm a townie. I'm like, go downtown. You can go to watch all the football in the bars after. But no, it gives it that good college atmosphere when you're on campus of a college and all the kids are there from the dorms and everything.
The students are already there. Mm-hmm. And when it went downtown, it gave the students a reason to leave to go drink. All right. Which, I mean, they still leave to go drink regardless. But
yeah, they're going to drink anyway. They already drink.
Closer to home.
They're just drinking more later, dude. It's not... It doesn't matter where you could do the game at a Alcoholics Anonymous convention. These students are drinking, dude. It doesn't matter. All right. Anyway, we're moving on to week 11. That is the wrong soundbite again. I can't wait to get my new Rodecaster Pro programmed in here. All right. We're moving on. We got some games. We had some games last night. We got some games going on right now. If you like some action, Northern Illinois, Western Michigan going on, Buffalo, Central Michigan going on, Kent State, Bowling Green going on, and you got a couple games tomorrow out of the American Conference. Tulsa at Memphis. That'll be a fun game to watch. I always like watching Memphis. I always like watching Tulsa too. And Georgia Southern at Louisiana in the Sun Belt, right? I think Sun Belt. And Friday, you got Eastern Carolina at Cincinnati. That's an interesting game to me. East Carolina, I've watched them a few times this season, and there's some dogs, dude. There's some hard-hitting dogs. I like them. Early on in the season, I bet NC State, I think it was like -3.5, and East Carolina was hitting them hard and ended up losing, but they lost 21-20, so I didn't get the bet. And since then, I've watched them every now and then. Last week, they had a win at BYU, 27-24. They beat UCF 34-13. They're 6-3, and they're 4th in the American. So you go out and win this game, and I'm not – you know what? I need to know the dynamics here, but you go out and win this game, and you take down Cincinnati. Cincinnati's number 3 in the American right now. So you take them out, and then they lost to Tulane. So they can't make it. They can't make it. That sucks. Doesn't look like they played SMU though. I don't know. Just shout out East Carolina. Good football team. Watch out for them in the bowls.
Yeah, and I don't really know much about them. But Cincinnati, I mean, obviously being a playoff team the year before, they had a good start to this year. They were ranked. Clearly not the same team. But shout out to Sauce Gardner, though, an alumni, doing excellent things for the Jets. Keep it up.
Yeah, he's doing good things over at the Jets. Cincinnati's right now, it says they're 2nd in the American. I got them 3rd right here. I got them 3rd right here, but I guess it's tied for 2nd with UCF. And UCF and Tulane are playing each other. Cincinnati's got to play Tulane in the last game of the season. So the way the American's set up, pretty sure it's just 1 and 2. Whoever's 1 and 2 at the end of the season, they play again. So we might have this situation where if Tulane beats UCF, then Cincinnati plays Tulane one week, and then they play them the very next week, just like they did with Memphis. I think last year. Yeah. I think it was last year when they went to the playoff. All right, moving on to Saturday's games.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, Ohio State, Indiana. Ohio State should take care of Indiana there.
Yeah, Indiana, by the way, like they had that upset over Western Kentucky. I only say that because of Austin Reed. He had a hell of a game last week, over 400 yards, 6 touchdowns. But yeah, no, Ohio State. This should be their bounce back game for how they struggled against Northwestern. The win should take it easy. They'll win this one, big time. 40. The over and under is 40. They'll be around that, but I think they'll be too close for me to want to lock it in.
Yeah, that's a lot of points. I'm gonna try and stay away from those. It was minus 37, and Vegas knew. Vegas must have known the weather was gonna be bad because they made it look so good. They were like, "Yeah, 37, take it." No, it turned out terrible. Terrible.
Wind is a bitch, man. Like once you put wind in the factor, that screws over so many teams.
Mm-hmm. Here we go. Tennessee has Missouri coming to town at 11 a.m. on CBS. This game was,
bounce back game. I think Tennessee's going to handle this one. I think they'll win by more than 20 and a half. I mean, this is where they need to make a statement. They need to show, hey, you know what? Yeah, we're number 5. We deserve to be back in the top 4. Like I think Tennessee's going to do it, but because they are fresh off a loss, I'm not going to lock them in. I'm going to hold off on it, but they're going to win this ball game. It'll probably come a spread, but I'm going to hold off on the lock.
Yeah, I'm going to hold off on the lock. I just got a bad feeling about it. I don't know why. I think Tennessee's going to win, but Missouri's one of those teams. They gave Georgia a tough time early this season.
That was at Missouri. You know, it was something.
This one's at Tennessee, so I'm going to stay away from it. I am going to lock this one in, though. LSU goes to Arkansas. I hate Arkansas this year. They've ruined a few of my picks. LSU's hot right now, and the spread is minus 3. So I'm locking LSU. That's for me. That's my first lock of the week.
Do it again. Just do it again. I don't even have to say it. Just do it again.
There you
go. And then I will say this. Like LSU's hot. They just beat Alabama. Arkansas is looking like dog shit lately. And you have LSU at minus 3. Yeah, it's at Arkansas, but no, yeah, I think LSU can cover that.
Yeah, I think they can too.
That's unbelievable to me. I can't believe it's minus 3.
Yeah, and I don't know, again, if Vegas knows something. I'm going to check the weather. If I'm betting anything, if this spread is like this still come Friday, I'm checking the weather in Arkansas and making sure it's not hailing or the wind's blowing or something. There's like an onslaught of tumbleweeds coming through Arkansas that day. Something going on because minus 3 sounds like free money to me. That's just what it sounds like.
That's how I feel. And I was like, is this a trap that I'm not aware of? Like, is half of LSU sick? Like, what's going on?
All right. We didn't talk about this last week, but I want to bring it up. Illinois broke my heart because you had a Michigan game coming up that Michigan was going to be undefeated for. You were going to have one loss. Could have been a big storyline in the Big Ten, but you lost to Michigan State. They're doing terrible this season. You got Purdue coming to town. I hope Purdue beats you. I really do. I got a vendetta now.
Purdue is a sneaky team, but they're away. Purdue is a much better team at home. I'm going to take Illinois in this one.
Yeah, I'll take Illinois too. Bounce back. Maybe it was a rough one, but I'm just saying you ruined my hopes and dreams for maybe an interesting game in the Big Ten this season, which I like. Oklahoma, West Virginia at 11 a.m. And that spread wasn't a whole lot. Let me make sure of what it is. Minus 8. I don't know. I wouldn't take that. Give me Oklahoma to win. I'm not going to lock in anything there.
Yeah, but in Oklahoma, much better team when Dylan Gabriel's their quarterback.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
we said that last week. I don't know. You didn't make the podcast last week, but yeah, me and Joey and Justin all agreed that we like Oklahoma with Dylan Gabriel. They look good, at least on offense there, and defense is, defense is getting there with Brent Venables. It's going to get there. All right, moving on. Liberty UConn. This is an interesting bettors game. It was minus 14 for Liberty, and I'm tempted to take that. Let's see what it's at now. Yeah, minus 14.5. Yeah, I don't care. I might still take it, but I don't know. UConn's doing a little better this year than they normally do. Not going to lock it in by any means, but if you're a better and you're looking for parlays, might be something to do.
I'm not even looking at this game, to be honest with you. I don't know much about it. Liberty, remember what this guy that used to be the starting quarterback at Baylor, lost the job at Baylor, transferred to Utah, lost the job there, transfers to Liberty, and I don't even see him starting there. And his last name is Brewer. Yeah, he's not even playing. So I don't know. I don't really care.
Who cares? All right. Michigan, Nebraska spreads -31. Yeah, give me Michigan. I'm not going to bet on Nebraska, and I'm not going to bet on this game, but spread's kind of big. I think Nebraska has potential to slow Michigan down, maybe a little bit in the first half, but maybe not. Probably not. I'd go with Michigan all day.
I mean, give me Michigan, but I think Nebraska will cover. I mean, -31's a lot. I think Nebraska is going to cover, and go ahead and lock that in for me because I like that. I like that game. I think it's just a giant spread. It's a home game for Michigan, yes. Nebraska has a way to be scrappy in these tougher games, though. So I'm gonna say they'll keep it closer than -31. It'll probably be like a 21-28.
Yeah, I got a feeling you're right. I don't think it would be that close. I think maybe 10 points, maybe 2 touchdowns. But, neither here nor there. I think if I had to get a gun to my head, I think Nebraska does cover. But there's also a chance they don't. And so I'm not going to bet that. Next game on our slate, Alabama at Ole Miss. It's on CBS, 2:30, 3:30 Eastern time. -12 for Alabama here. Ooh, dude, I don't know about this one.
Okay, so
Alabama dropped 2 in a row.
It's at Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss is 8-1. They're ranked number 11. I actually think Ole Miss is just deeply disrespected. I think they are so disrespected by being 8-1, and they're ranked number 11. I think that they have been competing extremely hard. I think that Lane Kiffin has something going on in Ole Miss. The fact that he's 8-1 right now, and I think his best team is not here yet. I think it could be next year. Jackson Dart has another year of eligibility in him. I think he has a couple of years left of eligibility. They're 8-1, and I think that they'll finish strong. But I have a hard time believing that Alabama is going to lose 2 games in a row. That's what gets me. But the thing is that they're the favorites in this ball game by 12. I think 12 is a lot. I think 12 is a lot for a team that's coming off a loss and going into Ole Miss where they have lost before. So, man, I want to give Alabama the win. I totally think Ole Miss will cover. I'm saving my last lock, though, because it's going to be an interesting one. And I wonder if you're even going to bring it up. If you don't, I'm gonna bring it up. But Alabama will win the ball game. Ole Miss will cover. But I'm not locking.
You don't have to lock it in because I'll lock it in for you. I have another lock left. So I think Ole Miss will cover. I'm like you. I have a hard time believing Alabama's going to lose 2 games. But I have a hard time believing that Lane Kiffin is going to let this thing be a blowout at Ole Miss when he's got so much talent on the offensive side of the ball. And he's going to get his players up for this game. Ole Miss gets up for these games. And typically between Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban here in the recent past, it's been a shootout. So I'm going with that.
They'll compete. They will compete for sure.
Yeah, they will compete. Here's an interesting game to me. At the same time, flip over to the ESPN while you're watching that game. Watch this game too. Louisville at Clemson. Clemson coming off that loss against Notre Dame. Clemson -7. Louisville's one of those teams, dude. I want to lock Louisville in so bad. I think Louisville might win this game.
Yeah, so I disagree. I think that Clemson will win the ball game. It's back at home, which is where they need to be. This is a good time to play Louisville when you're back at home. And they're a 6-3 team. They are a sneaky good team. They're better. I think that Louisville is better than their 6-3 record for sure. But I think Clemson's going to get a big comeback in this one. But I'm curious who is going to start at quarterback. I have a feeling they might get away from DJ and start their other guy and just see what he can do as a starter.
Yeah, I could definitely see that as well. I got a feeling Louisville's going to win this game, but I don't know. I'm just saying. Clemson, I think, is the better team overall. But if they have a week, if they have some attitude where they're down about last week, they're hung up about last week, Louisville's not going to care, dude. They're going to throw the ball, and they're going to get after it. They're 6-3. Got to respect them coming into town. ACC game right there.
I want to give a hot take, though.
Yeah, hot take.
I think whatever happens at the end of the year, DJ Uiagalelei is transferring from Clemson. I mean, you get a free transfer. He can go really anywhere he wants to go, especially any major program that needs a quarterback. They're going to take him. So I think DJ is transferring after this year.
Yep. Maybe goes to Oregon. He's familiar with that kind of spread system. He's a runner.
He's a West Coast guy.
Yeah. Could be. Bo Nix is last year, so they might bring in a transfer. I mean, I could see it happening. Obviously, you can learn the offense in a season. At least Bo Nix did. And
he would fit in great at Oregon.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good spot for him. So I could see that happening too. Dabo's put in Trevor Lawrence over I forgot the guy was before. Was it something Kelly?
I know you're talking about. He transferred to Mizzou and
Kelly.
Kelly.
Forgot his first name, but something Kelly. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, just interesting game to watch for me. Maryland at Penn State. Give me Penn State. Boston College, NC State. I think O'Leary's still out. Or Leary.
Yeah, Leary. Just Leary.
Yeah, Leary's still out there. Devin Leary. Let's see. Do they have any news on him? No, he's out for season with torn pec. So,
ouch.
That's rough. NC State's not the same team there, but I still think they get the job done. Boston College is 2-7. Not a good team. Not a good team.
Happened there?
Yeah, so yeah, we won't hang up on that one too much. Here you go, Pat. Here's a pick. UCF at Tulane. I'm gonna be at this game in New Orleans. It's gonna be fun. And I can't wait. -1.5. And you know what? I threw a pick out there on my pick'em because it's so close. It's a -1.5 game. I'm going with Tulane. I'm going to go with the home team. I just had a feeling about it earlier. And I'm going to use my lock on this game because I'm just going to be at the game. So, sorry, it's not going to be the game of the week, but I'm using the lock on this one. It's going to decide who's first placed in the American Conference. I'm excited about it. Lock them in. The Green Wave.
I mean, UCF, good team this year. Gus Malzahn. I mean, UCF was a great school for him to go to because I think he's going to have a couple good years there, and then he's going to transfer to another premier Division I school that's going to want him, maybe even back in the SEC. We'll see. But I think that he's done a really good job. John Reese Plumlee, an Ole Miss transfer, played on the baseball team, by the way. Picked a hell of a time to transfer away from the baseball team, though, because they won the national championship. But he's done a fantastic job. I think that they are going to do it. I think they're going to get the job done against Tulane at their stadium. Well, at the Saints Stadium, but whatever. I think they're going to get the job done in New Orleans, and then they're going to go get drunk as shit on Bourbon Street.
That's a good call because that's what I'm doing too. That's good call. Maybe we'll see him down there.
Last time I was on Bourbon Street was a few months ago, and I went on this was right before I got married. Shout out, I got married, by the way. Right before I got married, they were like, any guys in the room getting married? I raised my hand, and Amanda, my wife, was there. We were with some friends, so I'm the only one that gets to go up on stage. I'm wearing a button-up shirt, and this lady literally rips my shirt open.
Oh no!
Rips my shirt open, and just
Amanda didn't like that, did she?
Actually, no, she was laughing. I mean, the lady who ripped my shirt open was the MC, so she was doing her job. She was having fun. We're all having fun, and it ended up being a pretty fun night on Bourbon Street.
That does sound fun. Last time I was on Bourbon Street, Let's see. I don't. Oh man, we didn't go after the FSU LSU game because I think Devin was he was passed out. He was asleep. We went to some burger place though, and they had fucking good burgers. You can bet I'm gonna try and go back there again.
Hell,
Anyway, yeah. I think last time I was there, some guy tried to fight me because I wanted to use the ATM. It wasn't his ATM. I don't know why he wanted to fight because I was like, "Hey, dude, just let me." He was like,
trying to get some cash, man.
"Yeah." We like squared up. I'm not trying to fight him because I don't know this guy's. He looked like a thug. I'm not trying to fight him. Anyway, but yeah, Bourbon Street, dangerous place. Absinthe bar there is pretty fun though. If shout out to my cousin, he didn't like that too much. Moving on. If you're better, watch out for this Miami Georgia Tech game. I don't like betting on Georgia Tech, but the spread is, I think, -1.5 for Georgia Tech. Yeah, -1.5 for Georgia Tech. It's in Atlanta. I would think about taking that, at least in a parlay. Maybe flip back and forth. Miami sucks. They both suck, but like I would think about taking that.
Yeah, Miami. Oh, I will say Miami like is a little bit of a surprise because Tyler Van Dyke. There was so much hype going into the
So
season
much.
for him
Eating
because
his
he
dick.
had a fantastic year last year.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah. New offense. New every. I don't know what happened. I
and,
don't know.
and they also have that guy Garcia, Jake Garcia. He was a top recruit. Uh, don't he I don't know if he got hurt or whatnot, but he's not playing. They played their third string, and FSU just bullied that team.
Right.
Literally bullied that team last week. So I'm not going to touch this game. I know Georgia Tech's not that good either. Um, I mean, if anything, if it says anything about how they played last week, give me Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and I don't know if Joey said this. I think Joey may have said this to me, but um, someone who's an FSU fan said it to me. They think Tyler Van Dyke's going to transfer next year, and
He
I could,
could.
yeah, I could see that too. So watch out for that transfer. Also, if you like the Big 12 and you're better, watch out for this game because it's only a -1+1 spread. Oklahoma State hosting the Iowa State Cyclones. Uh, Oklahoma State at home, they're underdogs by +1. I would take Oklahoma State, but these are those games in the Big 12 where it's kind of like, this is why I don't bet Big 12. If I bet it, I'm going to lose. But if you know the Big 12 well, if you're confident in Mike Gundy and the Fighting I'm 40s, go ahead and take him. I have no problem with that bet. It is only minus +1. I love those bets. Moving on. Appalachian State Marshall. I would talk about that, but Justin's not here, so I don't care. Florida has its senior day with South Carolina coming to town. South Carolina, very inconsistent team. Florida, very inconsistent team. But I see Florida getting better last week against Texas A&M. But I don't want to believe. I don't want to
It,
believe.
it, it still scares me though because Spencer Rattler. I mean, so South Carolina got off to a kind of a weird start, but they've been looking much better. I think they lost recently, but Spencer Rattler still he torched Florida. The only other time he has played them that was when he was at Oklahoma. That was in the Cotton Bowl. I think Florida will win this ball game. I genuinely think Florida will win the ball game. I think they're looking better, but defensively, I mean, they'll still keep this game close. Like South Carolina will keep this game close. This could be a game where I don't okay, just because I don't have it in front of me, I'm not sure what the over and under is, but give me the over because I think both defenses are going to struggle.
Yeah, I got that for you. Over under is 59.
Oh, absolutely, give that to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I would take that too. I think it might be similar to this Texas A&M game. I think Florida's going to figure it out. I think Florida can score on South Carolina. Um, I think South Carolina can score on Florida too, but I really don't know because both teams have shown inconsistency. So it's just going to be who shows up that day. Hope Florida wins. Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Gators. Moving on. Yeah, the game of the week's in the Big 12, by the way. That's the one we're going to do. But here,
I'm just gonna I'm gonna go ahead and say that my third lock is gonna be Notre Dame. and Navy in that game. And I'm only bringing it up because I wasn't sure if you were going to bring it up. Notre Dame is ranked again. They were ranked number 5 to start the year. They had a close game against Ohio State. They stayed in the top 10, but it did not last very long. They had a rough stretch, but they've been having a good run at it as of late. But this is where I'm at with Notre Dame is that yeah, they are playing Navy, and the Navy Notre Dame rivalry, it's a long, long, long running rivalry. Navy, just like they would against Army, it doesn't matter what the record is, they're going to play strong. So Navy is at home. Notre Dame favored by 15.5. Notre Dame is going to win the game. But at 15.5, give me Navy to cover this spread. They might lose the game by 7, maybe even less than that. So give me Navy to cover. I'm locking that in as my final lock.
Good luck. Yeah, I skipped that game earlier. I didn't mean to skip it. I actually meant to talk about it. So good for bringing that up. Yeah, Notre Dame Navy rivalry always makes for some fun games. I like that rivalry actually. Um, but good pick. Good luck. I like the locks. I like that we were kind of strategic with the locks today. We didn't lock in all the big games like we've been doing. Maybe we would do better if we did that. Anyway, okay, Pat says Notre Dame by 20. So
All right.
20 plus.
Keep that in mind going in the next. Well, I won't be here for the next 2 weeks because I'm going on my honeymoon. Shout out. But yeah, well, I'll keep that in mind.
Yep. So we'll be covering for you, bud. Don't worry. Don't worry. Send us cool videos from like Italy and stuff. We'll play them. Anyway, so skip that one. All right. Georgia goes to Mississippi State. Okay, last Mississippi State blew a lead. They had like a 3-touchdown lead against Auburn, and Mike Leach went to the sideline and he started taking all the chairs and putting them down. This is why I love Mike Leach. Just started putting all the chairs down. He said, stand up, you bunch of sissies. And then he talked about their fat little girlfriends in the press conference, getting some heat for that. This is why I love the coach. This is why people love Mike Leach. They got Georgia coming to town, dude. The cowbells are gonna be a ringing. I don't think it's gonna matter.
It's not going to matter for shit.
Georgia shows up for games. They know it's a hostile environment. It's minus 16. They're going to I think they're going to cover. I hate it. I really hope Mississippi State wins, but that's just wishful thinking, dude. That's all that
Yeah,
is.
I mean, I think that Georgia's win over Tennessee was a statement win for them
The fight
because I
night.
mean they got bumped down from number 1 to number 3 by the college football playoff committee, and then they turn around with essentially a blowout win against Tennessee. I mean, the scoreboard would say different, but you watch the game, you feel like Tennessee just got blown out,
Yeah.
and then they go into Mississippi State. Yeah, honestly, who gives a shit if the cowbells are ringing? And who gives a shit that Mike Leach is the coach?
Hey, you don't say that. When the cowbells are ringing, dude.
Yeah, but
Ringing.
I think that George is going to be able to be just fine against them. That I mean, of course, this is me speaking out loud, but I think that Georgia, I think that their win against Tennessee kind of reset something in their minds, and they go into Mississippi State ready to kick some ass.
Though we are actually we are. You're gonna be the man. You got to beat the man, as Ric
Yeah.
Flair always said. So I think they are the man right now, dude. Georgia definitely far and away number one. But with that being said, any given Saturday, man, any given Saturday, Mississippi State tends to spoil some teams every now and then. I don't think this is it. I'm hung up on it. I want to move on, but I'm just hung up on it. I'm gonna watch this game on Saturday. Hopefully, it's the first game we watch right after we get out of the Tulane UCF game. It'll be fun there on Bourbon Street. Also, game at the same time over on the West Coast. Number 25 ranked Washington, Michael Penix Jr. going to Eugene, Oregon to fight Bo Nix and the Ducks. And I think that's going to be a good game. Give me Oregon. I wish I had another lock on this because I like Oregon a lot here. The spread, I don't know. The spread's minus 13.5. I don't really like it too much. I guess I wouldn't use a lock. Over under is at 72.5. I like that. I do.
I mean, that is a crazy score. I'm not one to usually take the under, but give me the under in that game. I think that's going to be a really tough game. I think those teams are going to fight like hell to the finish. Give me Oregon, and I've never been to the state of Oregon. I will get a chance. I might get a chance in September because my wife is going to be a bridesmaid in a wedding. It's in Washington, but it's like on the Oregon border. So just for funsies, I might cross over the border and just be like, I've been to Oregon. So, but give me Oregon though for real because I think that they have just played phenomenal. I mean, clearly they played an SEC team. They got destroyed by that SEC team. They've kind of righted that ship and have played really well. It does make me wonder though if they were to crack their way into the top four, they'd probably get matched up against an SEC team again just because the college football playoff committee loves to fuck with you like that, and they'd probably get blown out again. But in the meantime, until that day happens, give me Oregon.
Yeah, I'm there with you. If you see any games on your ESPN schedule that I'm skipping that you want to talk about, go ahead and talk about. I was going to skip to the FSU game.
Go ahead, let's do it.
Yeah, so Joey's not here. He's our FSU guy. He would have rant and raved all about it, how good FSU is doing. This game looked like it was going to be a very interesting game going into a couple weeks ago. Now Syracuse's starting quarterback Garrett Schrader is out with an undisclosed injury. He was present during warmups against Pittsburgh last week, but he didn't play. So if their starting quarterback does play, I think it's an interesting game. If he doesn't, FSU wins this game all day. It's -7 FSU. The game is at Syracuse, so I think if Schrader plays and he's healthy, I think Syracuse wins the game. Otherwise, any other caveat, FSU wins this game. FSU's hot for what it's worth, I guess, after beating Miami and beating who they played before Miami, Georgia Tech. So they've had 2 weeks where they get the groove of things going. You know, even if you're playing teams that are lower level than you, whenever you're beating them, you're doing your job, and it helps you as a team because you figure out your identity, you figure out what works. So I think FSU's rolling right now. They got Syracuse, Louisiana, and then Florida. So FSU could win out. And then you're looking at 7, 8, 9-3 team. And then maybe a rematch against Clemson. Oh no, wait, that can't happen. But Clemson could lose to Louisville, who FSU beat. And they're second in the ACC right now. Looks like they have NC State ahead of them. They lost to NC State and Syracuse ahead of them. So if they beat is there a way that they could get in, or is Clemson locked in? That's a question for Joey. We'll have to. The ACC could get interesting here in the last couple weeks. Clemson's 6-0 in the conference. Clemson has Louisville. No, they only have Louisville. They're not going to lose to Miami, and then they have South Carolina. So get rid of that. FSU's not going to the ACC championship. They're on the same side as Clemson, so I don't know why I was saying that you're going to beat Clemson. But yeah, I would say give me FSU if their quarterback, if Syracuse's quarterback's still out. If Schrader's starting and he's healthy, then give me Syracuse to win.
Yeah, give me Syracuse also. Great. I mean, I love their coach too.
Dino Babers.
Yeah, oh man, that guy. Yes, I mean, there were probably a couple seasons where I was a little surprised he didn't get fired, but he's still around and he's doing good things. So good job.
Shout out to the only Syracuse fan I know, Colin Bartholomew. Got your wedding invitation right here, bud. Thanks a lot. I'll be sending that in soon.
Shout out Colin. Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Hey, he texted me not too long ago, congratulating me about my wedding. So love that guy.
Oh, everyone's growing up. All right. North Carolina, Wake Forest. This should be a high-scoring affair here. Let's see. I did skip Kansas State and Baylor. I don't really know. I don't have a pick for you there. Baylor could win. Kansas State could win. Just depends on who shows up that day. I don't like picking the Big 12. Really don't. North Carolina, Wake Forest. Wake Forest is favorite, -3.5. But Drake May is going to go for over 3,000 yards on the season this game. He's probably going to break.
All he's having, man.
Yeah, he's thrown for 31 touchdowns. He's the first in the nation in passing touchdowns, and only thrown 3 interceptions on the year. He's third in QBR with 89.5 QBR. So this guy fucks, basically, is what I'm
I
saying.
mean, he originally committed to Alabama. He decommitted, went to North Carolina, where his brother was a star basketball player, Luke May, by the way. And dude, this guy, freshman, doing amazing things. I see he has a whole lot of upside.
Mm-hmm. Sam Hartman on the opposite side, another great quarterback. He's thrown for 2,423 yards, so almost 2,500 yards on the season. This would be a fun game to watch if you like basketball, if you like a lot of scoring, maybe. I think the over might look good. Let's see, 77. I would take the over. You're telling me that both teams have to score 40 points?
Both teams are going to give me the over. Also, both teams are going to score a lot of points. Both teams they've been scoring a lot of points all year long. So give me the over.
Yeah, I would lock this in. If I had an extra lock, I would lock in the over. That's how this game's going to go, barring some kind of weather or something. That's just the way I see this game going. All right, that brings us to the game of well. Let me make sure. Yeah, I don't want to talk about the rest of these games. This is fine. Hawaii, Utah State. Who cares? Yeah, we're gonna go. The game of the week for me and the college football extravaganza crew here. TCU at Texas. This is a big game because not only is it an in-state rivalry, it has playoff implications. If TCU wins out, they're going to the college football playoff for the first time in school history. Now, it's at Texas. Quentin Ewers is playing again. Texas has shown that they can lose even with Quentin Ewers playing. The spread, Texas is favorite at home, -7. Over under 65. I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch this game. I got Texas playing. Spoiler, I got Texas winning this ball game.
So I can see why. It's at Texas. Quinn Ewers, he's back at quarterback. Texas has been winning with him at quarterback. He's definitely the guy that you want there. Now Texas has lost a game with Quinn Ewers at quarterback, but I believe that is true. But TCU is doing something right now that I don't want to slow down. I just mentioned how I like Max Duggan. I just mentioned how I like Sonny Dykes. I think that this team is doing something that they didn't even expect to do. I'm going to keep that train rolling. Give me TCU. I've already used all my locks. So, if I had another one in me, I feel like my honorary would be TCU is going to win. But Texas, keep in mind, Texas is a really tough place to play. That's always going to be the case. This is going to be a fun game. It's on ABC. I'm actually a little surprised it's not on Fox. It's on ABC, but give me TCU to win this ball game outright, and they're going to go to 10-0, and they're going to probably stay at number 4 depending on how 2 and 3 do. But give me TCU.
We can make it a shot game if you want to make it interesting.
Why not? Yeah, absolutely.
Make it a shot game. I'll
take
Texas.
I'll take a shot while I'm in Italy.
There you go. Yeah, take a shot while you're in Italy.
A lot of it anyways.
That'll be fun. I'll give you all the good websites to watch shit on while you're overseas. I'm sure you probably already know, but while you're overseas, if you're up, if you're awake, I remember I used to, whenever I lived in Barcelona, man, I would stay up all night some nights and watch college football. There was this bar called George Payne's. It was an Irish pub in Barcelona, Spain. If I ever go back, I'm going to go back there. They would play some of the college football games at night, and they stay open till like 3 a.m. So I'd watch the games there. It was hard to watch It's hard to be a college football fan when you live overseas, honestly.
I know, and what, the Florida State game is going to be going on while we're in Venice. And that's the night that game will happen the day before I'm supposed to return back home And in Italy, that game's going to be going on. Well, they haven't announced. I don't think they've announced when the Florida State game is happening. But it's going to be really late. I will likely not know how that game goes until I wake up the next morning.
Yeah, that's probably going to be at like 5 in the morning for you. I'm pretty sure it's a night game and it's a Friday because it's a Friday game.
It's on a Friday.
Yeah, so I think it's 7:30 Eastern time.
Yeah, it would have to be, which sucks. By the way, on that note, my wife and I have already discussed it that next year when the game is in Gainesville, we're going for sure. So
I'd be down for that. That'd be a fun game to go to. I'm inviting myself already.
No, it's an open invite. Like we're trying to get a crew down there.
That'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be fun. FSU just for shits and gigs, -7 favorites already against Florida at home. Yeah, I can see it. Florida's got to get that bowl. Florida's got to win this week or next week, get bowl eligibility because that FSU win's going to be tough, especially at night in Doak. You don't want to walk in there not being bowl eligible.
That's going to be a big game, though. I think that game is going to be a lot of fun. I'm glad that the game is on a Friday. It's going to be a really, really good game. It'll be a lot of fun. And I can't believe the game is 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, day after your birthday. I know the football season is wrapping up. I don't want to believe it, but it is.
Crazy.
It is crazy. All right. Well, that wraps it up for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching this, like, share, and subscribe this podcast. Help us grow the channel. Follow us on Higher Frequency Podcast Network. Follow us in the description below at CFBE Extravaganza on Twitter and Instagram. When I got time, I'll post, man. I got no time, bro. I got no fucking time. I'm trying my best.
We're busy people, man.
We're busy people. With that being said, congratulations, Davis, on your wedding. I don't think you were here last week, but we all said congratulations to you, and it was a beautiful wedding. We talked about it.
Appreciate that.
Yep. And to all you guys out there, keep your heads up, put some parlays together, make some money, and you might also get a wife that likes money. We'll see. Adios.